history repeating itself. Real Madrid just don't score goals against Arsenal in the Champions League.
Never done it.
But this time Arsenal scored 3 of the buggers. It was 3-0 in the first leg at the Emirates Stadium. Wrap it up now, Jim. Who do you fancy in the next round? Nice. What a win, what a performance.
It was absolutely exceptional. I've barely slept. I've made a lot of noise last night, you can probably hear in my reedy voice. The atmosphere was absolutely incredible. Mikel Arteta called for that before the game, and that was a really, really noticeable thing. Like, hours before the game, there were really focused men walking around as if they themselves were playing in the game. I think the volume was exceptional. It was the loudest I've heard it, really. They managed to keep it up. The Madrid fans are very quiet. I think that traditionally they might be generally anyway. But there was very little back and forth in the way that you usually get in a kind of European game.
Jim, they were silenced.
They were silenced.
Were they silent or silenced?
They were silenced.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Good enunciation, guys.
That's
the type that we rarely hear on this show.
That was just a little Oprah Winfrey quote there.
The atmosphere really came across on the TV.
Yeah,
I have to say.
It was exceptional, and like I said, it didn't let up. And the first half was interesting, wasn't it? Because I thought Arsenal were marginally the better team, but they'd made a couple of mistakes early on, and Mbappe got in, and Jude Bellingham had that amazing ball that kind of split the defence, and Mbappe gets in again, and Raya saves it. And this is the thing with Madrid, isn't it? At half time, you're thinking they will probably score a goal out of nowhere because it's what they do. It doesn't really matter how they're playing. They could do that in 5 seconds, but it just didn't happen. Arsenal was so much better in the second half, and particularly when the goals started going in, of course, I think they physically dominated them in a way that they just weren't expecting and weren't prepared for.
Yeah, it was a slightly shaky start, if you like, from Kivior, who was the one people were worried about. Obviously,
he'll do that.
Yeah, in for the injured Gabriel. It's
tough.
Yeah. But I say that like it's a joke, but very often with Kivior, he will have an iffy moment really early on and then settle himself. And he did that again.
And fortunately for him, it didn't lead anywhere.
Do it in the pre-match.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, convince him that you've already kicked off.
That thing you do 5 minutes in, just do it now.
Yeah.
We'll watch. We'll watch for you. Imagine they did that at the Emirates Stadium. They just bring Kivior out on his own. Yeah. Everyone cheers, pretends like it's a game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get him to kick off himself.
Get the reserves out, or the young ones or whatever.
Shank one out of play.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah,
done.
We go.
Solid.
Oh, was that not the start? No, you're all right. Driving set starts in a minute.
No filming the camera. That was a rehearsal.
You've had your one. I mean, I suppose before we go into it, general thoughts, Luke. Before,
I was like obviously super impressed. It was a standout performance of the season from a team I've seen, particularly in Europe, I'd say. I was really impressed by Arsenal's starting positions, their bravery, because the ability of them to play without any fear whatsoever was the most impressive thing about it. Because we know they're a good team, but if you had asked me going into the game, do you think, given what you've seen from Arsenal this season, a little bit of inconsistency, a little bit of, I don't want to be harsh on a day like this, but a little bit of moaning about a few bits and pieces. So, to be fair, some poor refereeing decisions they've been on the end of, players unavailable. Can they genuinely go in there against Real Madrid, who are defending European champions, and not just say they're going to play without fear, but actually do it? I would have said, I don't think they could do that. But they did do that. And it was an incredible performance, not least because I think that they started out brave, they probed and they pressed and they rode a little storm, and then they were just like, you know what? There's nothing to be worried about here, and we can take this game away from Real Madrid. And if we are going to do it, we've got to do it now because it'll be tough at the Bernabeu. And they did it. And that is so incredibly hard to do, but quite easy to say that you're going to do. And so I was super impressed by it. I thought every single one of them was great. Saka was really important for them, winning free kicks and making it difficult for Real Madrid. And what I mean by that is, just to put a bit more of a bit of detail on it, is that with someone like Saka coming back into fitness, he's a player that Real Madrid would absolutely be worried about, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, the profile of player he is and what he's capable of doing is its own story. It doesn't actually matter if he does it or not. It just gives them so much more to think about, which then opens up spaces elsewhere. So if you look at how Martinelli was able to get space in a way that he's not really been able to do since Saka's been off, away injured, that made a massive difference as well.
Peter, you've just come back from Spain on holiday.
I have, yes. I brought with it lots of tactical opinions about Real Madrid's
you brought your form back for Real Madrid.
That's right, yeah.
Apparently, Mikel Arteta had spoken to Pep Guardiola in the lead up to this game about playing Real Madrid. Pep perhaps he spoke to you as well, because the type of insight that a man can only get really when visiting the country.
Yeah, I think so.
I might suggest.
I mean, maybe they went for like 4 steak tartars at a complimentary resort, I did pretty much every day.
Or a restaurant in Watford that's now shut down.
Exactly.
Or loaded up
you
on
get your boundless.
loaded up on Maxibons, which you can't get here.
You're obsessed. Every time I saw a Maximon, I thought of you, Luke.
Get yourself to Europe and get a
Upsetting.
Maxibon.
Maximons are great, so I'm with Luke on that. But you mentioned the first half there, Jim. There was a few things doing the rounds on social media at half time, and Adam Clare, who's a good follow on Twitter, he was one that was showing. Sorry.
Come on.
Come on, respect
I've
him.
never dated the man.
He needs everything. He needs everything.
Yeah.
He needs everything now.
People are being quite unkind to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
He rage quitted a video game last night because everyone was picking on him.
Do you know what?
Was it actually him this time?
Yeah, it was him. Yeah.
I did
Because
think about
you can tell it's him because he died in the tutorial or something.
On the old tube on the way in on the train, someone was on the phone, and clearly the headphones failed them or whatever, and all you heard blare out of this person's phone, well, I think Musk is a genius and a forward-thinking person. And the looks that person got.
Lovely.
Oh, dear. But anyway, back to the nonsense of last night. Yeah, looking at the average positions that Arsenal took up in that first half, and I mean, obviously not an audio feature, but basically the only 3 players whose average positions were in their own half was David Raya, of course, and the 2 centre-halves.
Yeah.
They were pushed up so far. Now, bearing in mind the quality that Madrid have on the break, well, the quality they have, but particularly on the break, with that pace, it was an incredibly ballsy thing to do. But Jim, on our YouTube channel on Monday, you highlighted where Arsenal could maybe get a bit of joy, but we both said they have to go for this.
Yeah.
There's no, if you lose by the odd goal, you'll go out the time.
Absolutely.
The fact is, it is half time. I mean, Declan Rice, was obviously the man being interviewed last night, and every now and then he was saying, "Look, it's only half time," and he's absolutely right. But we'll come to that. But Arsenal had to go for it. They were the tactics they deployed, were to push Real Madrid back into their own half, and Real Madrid would have thought, "Okay, fine. Well, we'll try and catch you on the break." But it just didn't happen. They're brilliant. So often, I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly, for a lad of his age and his inexperience to put in a performance like that,
A physical performance as well. The way he was able to sort of shake up players and then supply the ball for Martinelli or Rice in the box. He's incredible.
Absolutely.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal.
For the physicality, Pete, you're right to highlight that, for a lad who's a teenager. And also the intelligence as well.
Yeah.
Where the hell do you get that kind of intelligence on the pitch at that age?
He's really good at making those sort of laser-guided forward line-breaking passes, which Arsenal have really lacked since Granit Xhaka has gone, actually, and now it's been replicated from a left-back sort of tucking into midfield. And I was impressed by his fearlessness, as ever. He had a setback at the weekend with a penalty against Everton, and he's had a couple of situations this season. He was sent off against West Ham, and it bounces off him. It doesn't seem to,
like the players did last night.
And
but I mean,
you're right. He's so strong. The way he shields the ball is really impressive.
I don't know what back line were. I mean, like there'll probably be not as many people talking about Saliba's performance, but like Real Madrid were forced into making some pretty desperate sort of like floated balls in and stuff, and he was just like a 90s German central defender just going fuck off. Just
Timber as well, just up and down.
And these are the players there'll be a huge focus on in the second leg.
Yeah. But without Gabriel as well. Yeah. I mean, that's how seriously impressive. Partey being in that midfield as well.
Yeah,
the amount of times he got the ball, midfield, really. Totally. The amount of times he got the ball, as an ex-Atleti man, he would have really relished that as well. But the amount of times he got the ball in the tight space where he's being pressured, just turns and plays it out to relieve that pressure, to not just be forced to pump it long. Seriously impressive. We've talked for a little while now and haven't mentioned Declan Rice, Luke Moore.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, just... the first
Luke Moore is speechless.
No, the first. Well, give me a sec. The first one starts so far outside the post that you kind of look. I mean, because Courtois. I mean, it's mad. They lost 3-0. Courtois was on pretty good form. Made some really good saves.
I thought when Rice and Martinelli quite early on, that double save that he made. I was thinking he's on one here. They're not going to get through it. They'll take a 1-0 lead to the Bernabeu.
Totally. So massive in person, it's intimidating.
Rice had to start that free kick so far outside the post, and he put it in the only spot that Courtois couldn't get to. Like, to me, this is going to sound churlish, but I guess I'm going to have to say it anyway.
It's a good level. It's a good height.
No, I think I'm continually confused. It's a brilliant free kick. It's a world-class free kick. And to follow it up again with another one when you've never scored one before, it was wild.
It was Lee Griffith-esque.
Yeah, it was. although Arsenal were able to hang on, sadly.
Yeah.
Compared to
Harry Kane didn't ruin the pass.
No. But I will say that I am now quite regularly confused at the goalkeeper starting positions in free kicks like that. I think we've seen too many free kicks scored, not as good as that, but kind of good enough to go in, where the goalkeeper starting position is way over the other side. Yeah. It feels like quite an old-fashioned way of goalkeeping, and I think what it does is it invites the striker of the ball to go, right, here you go then.
Yeah.
Right, he was in the middle of the goal,
that's
wasn't
the
he?
whole reason he shot. They were planning a pass essentially, or
he said
a set piece.
They were going to cross it, and he said, didn't he, Rice, that
saw
he
the
felt
position and...
that was just wrong. He said he's trying to cross it from this. He said it would have to be. The funny thing is, much like
one of the
goal,
few people who could actually get it in there.
Well, yeah, but he said it's going to have to be incredibly accurate to flight it in that area and get the right. So we thought, well, the easier option is to just leather it around the wall.
You've got a player there who, this hopefully will be a catalyst for more to come from Rice, because he was absolutely sensational, and the 2 goals were just incredible, and they'll go down in Arsenal history, and they should do as well. I mean, even if Arsenal are on the back of a ridiculous turnaround in the second leg, those 2 goals on this night will go down in history for Arsenal in their recent history. And Rice is obviously central to that. But I would say that I hope it becomes a catalyst for more, because I think, and I have thought for a long time, and I was saying it even back in his West Ham days, he's such a good striker of the ball. For a player who's not naturally an attacking player, it's quite rare to have someone in his position who's I think he's probably the best striker of the ball at the club. And that kind of is shown with his delivery from set pieces, from corners, whatever it may be. So hopefully he can step up more and do more of this. But I mean,
he's making a lot of chances this season. He kind of is already doing this.
No, but I mean, why not put him on more free kicks?
Sure.
Why not give him more opportunity?
There'll be a decision to be made there, won't there?
Yeah. Well, there was a little glimpse of it at Everton at the weekend where he absolutely larruped one, which Jordan Pickford was equal to, but Arsenal very rarely actually even shoot from free kicks like that. It signalled to me.
It's the first goal they scored from a free kick for was 3.5 years.
Yeah, there was an accidental one against Bayern Munich. It was a cross that kind of went in.
We understand the point.
But what price for like a player like Declan Rice? A man who kind of obviously came with a lot of money, big price tag and stuff. He's doing his bits, but he just turns up in every big game.
He does.
It's not just about playing in like a dead rubber. You know,
he's fucking brilliant.
He's not for Southampton this weekend.
He can do everything.
Yeah.
There's no weakness to his game.
He's never less than 7 out of 10.
No,
when he plays.
But he's frequently 9 out of 10s against big teams. Though. That's the best thing about it.
Well, the second wind he gets is a thing of beauty.
Well, I've often said, I mean, indulge me. Even on a day like today, he's the most important player for England. And actually,
a couple of assists in the last international break as well.
Well, indeed, but for England, if you go back and watch the Euros highlights, which you might not want to do, there's a couple of moments where actually he hits one from range and nearly digs England out of a moment. He can do that. But of course, playing further forward for Arsenal, obviously these were set pieces, so it's not, he's not knocking it out of his feet and striking the ball, but we might see a little bit more of that. But I find it intriguing because, Luke, you said he's more of a defensive player. The chat a few years ago with Declan Rice, one couldn't forget, he'll be a centre half. He's going further forward now, and you see the freedom he gets when Partey's in the side, and I wonder if Tuchel will look at that. But anyway, let's stay with Arsenal. But
he should open an ice cream van because he's delivered 2 fucking Mr. Whippies right there.
I'll tell you what,
for us all to enjoy.
The ballistic range will have Kim Jong-un salivate.
That second one.
Yeah,
my God.
I mean, the spiders live.
I just could not be more in the top corner without actually hitting the post.
That's the best free kick I think the world has seen since that Messi one against Liverpool in the Champions League semi-final.
You would say it's better than the first one?
The second one,
massively.
Well, let me just. The reason I'm less sure than you guys.
You're expecting it.
No, but the reason I'm less sure than you is because if you watch again, I mean, you probably already have, but just to remind people, if you watch the first one from the angle behind, it starts so far outside.
Oh yeah, I mean it's Roberto Carlos-esque, and of course,
and you still have the pace on it as well to beat Courtois.
He looked. I mean, obviously the camera pans to him. I don't know how long after the goal, and I was thinking, oh, come on, Robbie, get out your seat for that one. Nose against your old team. So maybe there's an argument with regards to the sort of technique and what you just said there. Look about which goal is better.
I didn't like him standing on the advertising hoarding. Those are expensive. Stop that.
Probably destroyed a couple of pixels doing that.
Exactly,
we all like an anti-capitalist.
There was one tiny bit of foot on the front of it as well, which I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
If you're going to jump on it clean.
You pay for that. You pay for that, Declan. Yeah. Imagine that's the first thing imagine the first thing that Mikel Arteta said when he came off after the game. You're paying for that.
Heart, brain, dead pixels.
Fogging standards.
Wouldn't be surprised me if a member of the board did that. But anyway, but the second one was more enjoyable, I suppose, because you've had the first one and you're thinking, all right, go shitting hell, he's done it again. But
we were all joking about it.
Yeah, of course. But it was goalkeeper's side, and to give the goalkeeper not even a prayer.
Yeah.
Courtois
and a goalkeeper of that quality.
All 3 goals were that as well.
Jim, I mean, that second goal, I was out my seat.
Yeah.
The second goal goes in, and it's one of those beautiful moments, whichever kind of creative discipline or whatever, when you see perfection, when you see something like that, it's the old quote, and other people are rise around you, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You feel, unless you're a Real Madrid or Spurs fan, you just feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be alive when that goes in. It was such an amazing goal. And then old Mikel Merino, who himself had a couple of opportunities in quick succession.
Lovely finish.
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful finish.
I think it's the sort of goal that doesn't happen at 0-0.
No.
The wind is in the sails, and
Yes.
they're acting instinctively. They can sense Real Madrid are on the ropes. Madrid kind of are a little bit rattled because they're not quite sure what's happening. They're very, very good at keeping things tight and calm, aren't they?
Yeah.
And not panicking. But that's weirdly kind of went against them in this game. It's the best strike I've ever seen from Mikel Merino. That's his 6th goal since moving to that striker's position, which is phenomenal, really. It's more than a lot of strikers have had. Yeah, Lewis Skelly, really, really mature, actually, because he could have kept going and gone for the glory himself there, because he's very good at those type of dribbles. But the shot was, I wasn't expecting a shot. No one was. It's right in the corner again.
He converted that power into him, into the corner, and it was a lovely stroke.
Totally, really, really good.
And Marino has to take credit, because in that first half, one could just sort of say, I was saying it to couple of mates, I was like, extraordinary, isn't it, that Arsenal in a quarter-final of a Champions League against Real Madrid, a club this size with the money and so on, and here they are still playing a midfielder up top.
Yeah.
But credit to him, because never played in this position, as we know, until away to Leicester. And there he is leading the line and grabbing a goal. Because, as you mentioned earlier, Pete, when he has those chances earlier, where it's brilliantly cleared off the line and Courtois makes a great save, you're thinking, oh no, Arsenal, is this one of those games where you dominate them and Real Madrid know how to get out of it? But of course,
and also
it wasn't to be for Madrid.
I thought in the first half with that double save Courtois made, which looked better than it was in the stadium when I later saw it back, but was still a good double save. It did feel like that. It felt like getting past him is going to be really, really difficult. But Marino, I thought, actually, he sort of played a bit like a midfielder. He played very well with his back to goal. He ran so much. He just occupied those defenders so well, and that was an incredible shift he put in.
I was a bit upset, Jim, that on Monday you did your YouTube page, and on the WhatsApp you were discussing what the title should be of the YouTube page, and you wanted how many will Arsenal score against Madrid, and there was a bit of back and forth, and it turned out to be no one is backing Arsenal, but they should in the end.
Yeah,
they've de-clickbaited.
They have
with one performance. They've de-clickbaited your clickbaity article title.
The rage bait would have thrived, and then
you prove
it. Look smart afterwards.
To be fair, Jim,
thank you for bringing that up.
To be fair, I mean, we all know why you're here today. To be fair, Jim, though, he called it. He got out there. He said what he thought. He turned out to be spot on.
Yeah.
Look,
they're going to lose in the second leg, aren't they?
Well, I can lose by 2, and it doesn't matter. You know?
I was going to say the second leg is interesting, isn't it? Because if you watch, I don't know if people listening saw it, but Jude Bellingham's post-match interview was really interesting. The one he gave to the BBC. He said he could, first of all, obviously, he's got this bulletproof confidence where he's so matter-of-fact about it. And he said something along the lines of, it's been a bad night for us. It's going to take something unbelievably special to turn it around. But our place, that kind of stuff happens. And he was very, it was almost like he was, because this is what he's like, it was almost like, I wouldn't have been surprised when I was listening to it to hear that with the assorted media people around, there was a couple of Arsenal players maybe a few steps away giving their interviews, and he wanted them to hear it. He wanted them to hear that he was like, look, we're fucking Real Madrid. This is what we do. And so I think it is, in a weird way, and this is going to sound like I'm pouring cold water on Arsenal, I don't mean to, but
they could have done with an extra one.
No, I just think in a weird way, to me, as a neutral, it makes the second leg even more interesting.
It does.
Because
how you approach it.
Because it's a case of, this is entirely possible, by the way, if Real Madrid score a goal in the first 10 minutes, everyone wants to check what colour Arsenal's pants are.
Yeah.
Because that is then fucking doubt bit in their mind. And if they are really bulletproof with their fearlessness, because of the way they approached it last night, they look like they are. If they are, they'll be absolutely fine. But if they're not, that is the worst place in football to not be
and you also that's interesting as well in the sense that you don't really want to go there and defend for 90 minutes because inviting them onto you is a crazy tactic. But at the same time, you potentially leave yourself a little bit more vulnerable by not doing that and open the door to them getting that early goal, which could make it really interesting and make it a really nervy night. So I was very impressed and thrilled that the 3 is obviously brilliant, but the 0 is hugely important as well, because you at 3-0 up, you're thinking just don't concede one now, because that changes this advantage so much.
And I would even put more pressure on them just from a neutral point of view by saying if they get past Real Madrid in fairly decent fashion, so they fucking eke out a draw at the Bernabeu, they've now then got to be targeting winning the Champions League. They have to, because you've knocked out the holders. PSG obviously we're going to come on to. They're potentially a slightly different proposition now, but ultimately you shouldn't be able to fear anyone. And if you look at this is the biggest chance Arsenal have had in the Champions League since they got to the quarterfinal 2010.
The last time
they've come nowhere near it since then.
Last time they reached the semi-finals was 08-09.
Yeah.
Which is of course when Manchester United.
Yeah.
Villa Arsenal in the final four.
Well, they can't
be the semi.
in the semi-final.
Sorry,
but you're right to mention Villa, because Luke just mentioned PSG there.
Yeah.
Why? Right off Unai.
Yeah, we're talking
And PSG be PSG in at this point in the tournament every year.
In my defence, PSG at this point of recording still in the fucking competition.
And so are Aston Villa.
I know, and we're talking about them in a minute.
Respect them.
I respect both the teams.
Now, the big news, of course, with
I just don't respect you guys.
Right. The big news with English teams regarding European competition is that victory for Arsenal means that the Premier League will definitely have a minimum of 5 teams in the next season.
It's a win for all the Premier League.
You're welcome, everyone.
Now, this would seem unlikely.
Mikel Marino's previous club are going to
there you go.
do well out of that.
So this would seem unlikely, particularly if you're Luke Moore, but England could have 7 teams in the Champions League next season.
Fucking hell.
If
Give them what they want. Super League.
Let me say the next bit, it's crucial. If Aston Villa win it this year, but fail to qualify through the Premier League, so they finish outside the top 5, but they win the Champions League.
Is that technically a Premier League spot,
I'm not finished.
Right, okay.
And Manchester United or Spurs win the Europa League. That's the bit there that you've got to say.
It could happen.
So
apart from the Aston Villa winning the Champions League bit.
Well, here's one scenario, because there's lots of scenarios, as you could imagine, with regard to how far the European places go down. But I'm just going to chuck one out there. If both Newcastle and the winners of this season's FA Cup finish inside the top 7, then 8th place in the Prem gets the Europa Conference League spot, which is currently Fulham.
There we are.
It's most of the league now, isn't it?
There's something for everyone.
Does anyone here not want to be in Europe next season? Just put it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Not you, Southampton.
There is no scenario. There's no scenario.
The only chance you've got to get to Europe is Ivan Jurić's flight back home. That's the only way.
Indeed. Southampton fans, we're not done with you yet on this podcast, because coming up after this, Ivan Jurić, of course, has been sacked by Southampton. We're going on tour, everybody. The Football Ramble time tunnel is coming to a city near you. Glasgow, Newcastle, Birmingham, Manchester and London between the 9th of May and the 17th of May. Click on the link that's just appeared in the top right-hand corner of this video and get your tickets. Don't delay. Get one today.
Now, a well-placed source has told me that you celebrated the win over Borussia Dortmund in the dressing room by doing an impression of Chris Kamara. Is that right?
Unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable, Jeff.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody.
It's like one of your impressions, Marcus.
Alberto Moreno there.
One of his celebrations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
He just sounds a bit like Nick Hewer, that's all. Yeah.
Well, we all do at the end of the day. But Bayern Munich 1-2. Bayern Munich's unbeaten run at home in the Champions League ended after 22 games. First loss for them in Europe at the Allianz Arena in 4 years.
Tell you what, Inter look up there with the favourites.
Oh, they do, yeah.
And they have done for the whole competition.
Well, at the start of the competition, David Cartledge, a man who has frequented these seats before, he said that he fancied Inter for the tournament. I remember thinking, I like that. And, you know, they're going well in Serie A, and this was a big win for them. Absolutely, it was. Harry Kane missed a sitter in the first half.
At least it was a lovely goal as well. It was going to be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
What, where he hit the post?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a sitter?
Yeah,
I think it
was a
was.
sitter.
The goal was
think by his
gaping. The goal
standards-
was saying, yum, yum, I'm hungry for
Yeah.
goals. I'm wearing a serviette round my neck.
The goal,
Put it in my mouthpiece, Harold.
the post, Harold. The posts were like knives and forks, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like
They were.
And the crossbar was a dessert spoon.
Yeah.
Referee dressed up like a waiter.
And the ball
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
and it was on a plate.
Feed me, Harry.
Yeah,
I'm
get it
gaping
right
for
in
your
my
goal.
gob.
if you compare it to like Kylian Mbappe when he races through and hits it straight at Rye, you thought open your body a bit more.
Yeah.
And in the other,
And Kane opened his body too
Thierry Henry it really
Yeah.
in the corner. But I don't think that was a
Los
shocker.
Blancos couldn't manage it,
No,
though,
they
did they?
couldn't, Jim. Up theirs. So it wasn't a shocker. You thought, oh, Arsenal got away with that one. With Kane,
He knew it
there's-
as well.
exactly. There was such a big space to put it in. He opens the body. It's kind of like just pass it in. And he does everything right, other than just overcooks it slightly, and it hits the post and his face, and the way he falls through. Oh my goodness! It was early on in the game, though.
But they restrict you so much, even if you're Bayern Munich at home.
It's what did the great Johan Cruyff say about Italian teams? They can't beat you, but you can lose to them. And
Yeah.
it kind of
Yeah.
felt a bit like that. Mind you, obviously all the attention here was on those Declan Rice free kicks. That Lautaro Martinez goal.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's
The assist and the goal are two of the best you're going to see in the Champions League this season.
the assist is, I think it's one of the best assists I've ever seen.
It's,
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
Guti-esque.
It is up there with Guti.
The speed of it and the
The awareness.
just the finesse of it as
Yeah.
well.
Well, because he could have, and for a moment I thought should have taken it. When the ball fizzes into Thuram, he's got a chance. Clearly, if it was a very obvious opening, I think he would have taken the shot. So it was maybe slightly the way the ball comes in. It was slightly would it have been behind him or whatever.
I think it was slightly behind.
Yeah, so I understand.
First shot on target as well.
Amazing, yeah, exactly. That's it. But I think if the ball comes in and Martinez, there's no one behind him, he obviously takes on the shot.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that if it doesn't come off, the manager's probably tearing his hair out saying, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, but he does a lovely little flick
goal
behind
of the
him.
tournament. My heart is open, waiting for it with serviette around its neck, going yum yum.
Why's your
Get
heart?
in my heart.
Your heart's got a neck.
My heart's got a neck.
its own neck?
No, it's around the head bit.
Is this what? Is this
It's coming in through the left ventricle.
Okay.
Are you
The,
sure
the
it-
love for this goal.
Is this like some Mikel Arteta drawing? The heart has got a big plate. The brain.
My
is-
love for the goal of the season.
I think a lot of people suspected over the years your heart's got a neck.
Your
got
heart,
some neck
the heart
in
and the
it.
brain are dining out together.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna- Sooner or later, it's going to be strangled.
And then of course into 1-0. That's a lovely.
But Thomas Muller was full of the joys of spring, shall we say, when he scored.
Yeah.
Thinking, right, he did it a whole celebration where he was like, "This is me. This is what I do. You're going to miss me when I've gone Bayern Munich."
because he's off in the summer.
Yeah, and then they conceded again 3 minutes later.
Yeah, which was a sickener for them.
Yeah.
Why are they getting rid of Thomas Muller?
I don't think
I know he's
like-
expensive, but like
I think he decided he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
No, he wanted to stay.
Oh, right, okay.
But they wanted to get rid of him. But like he's on $8 million a year, and you just do sort of think he's an expensive player, but like it's Thomas Muller.
Yeah, I know.
Like
He is 35 though.
You've made more money out of him than he's ever going to take off you. Surely.
True. Is he a Vincent Company player?
If you're a Bayern Munich fan, do you really need to see him in a Lazio shirt? Do you like? It's like an expensive gas boiler. You know you've got to feed it with money every year with the British gas man.
Just get a new one.
Just get what?
Get a new boiler.
Get a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because
Fucking
Thomas Muller.
water heat, the old what they call the water heaters, they got to you, haven't they?
Heat pump.
The heat pump. They've got-
Getting a new
the
boiler
lobby's
every
got to
year.
you.
No,
Get a new one. Get a new Thomas Muller boiler.
If
Get a combi.
If we are going to take this analogy to its natural conclusion, which I absolutely think we
Please
should,
do,
yeah.
right? Thomas Muller has been at Bayern Munich playing for the first team since 2008. That's 17 years.
Yeah.
Time for a new boiler. You need a new boiler after 17 years.
Yeah.
Probably
You
true.
show me a 17-year-old boiler that's as efficient as it should be, and I'll show you a liar.
Shortfootramble.com.
Yeah.
Are we going to see him at Old Trafford?
Oh yeah, almost certainly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Those, sadly,
We'll give you a pay rise,
Well,
Thomas.
that was the
problem. That was the problem with Vinny Jr. in the bloody Real Madrid team. He had an absolute stinker in the week that Man United showed some interest in him, 200 million euros or whatever.
I'm sure they're extremely interested in Vinny Jr., but I reckon it's probably only one way.
yeah,
I would personally love to see Man United get rid of 5 academy brought
Prospects,
through first team
For
players
Thomas
to get
Muller.
Thomas Muller.
Well, he's a winner. He's a proven winner.
On a 2-year deal.
He's
No, on a 4-year
what you
deal.
ever won. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
it's quite Ferguson-esque,
Just
though,
him,
wouldn't
just
you?
him and Casemiro doing a jigsaw for training.
Bastian Schweinsteiger's watching
Yeah.
from the stands going,
Yeah.
lads, just enjoy it because you
Yeah.
won't be paid this much for doing that little ever again in your life.
Thomas can't play today because he's getting a phone call from his grandson.
Yeah. There we are.
He's got his slippers on.
Davide Fratesi scored the winner in the 88th minute, as you said, Luke, just 3 minutes after this one to dampen the mood.
Yeah. When they need a goal, they just go and get one.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jim. There are faults. It's going to be very difficult for Bayern in that second leg, but it is possible, especially with no away goals, as is the case nowadays. But the final is at the Allianz Arena. And Bayern would think to themselves, you get, because the thing is, if you can get past Inter, which they still can, but this is in that side of the draw, it's the tie that everyone I think is looking at. I thought to myself that the team who wins this, I would imagine, would go on to the final. Although
Barcelona might have a say in that.
Well, Rafinha and Barcelona might do. Obviously, they're up tonight against Dortmund. So an intriguing one as well. Let's come crashing back down to earth on the south coast of England, because Ivan Jurić has, of course, been sacked as Southampton manager. We added a little bit on the end of Monday's show because the news broke just as we finished.
You could have done a line about me there. You could have, let's come crashing back down to earth on the south coast like Luke used to do every Sunday in the 90s.
Well, Portsmouth are playing tonight, so there could be another crash.
Coventry. Frank Lampard's Coventry.
Come on,
who,
Frankie.
by the way, Frank has been linked with the Southampton
He has,
job.
hasn't he?
Why would he do that? He's having a good time at Coventry, isn't he?
Luke, as I understand it, you weren't meant to be on the show today.
No, I wasn't. I came in because I'm doing it. I'm now doing every Ramble show until Southampton win a game. So see you frequently between now and next year. We did just about catch it on Monday. We did a little Easter egg at the end of the show, didn't we?
We did.
The surprising thing about Ivan Jurić leaving at this point is because, it implies they thought he would keep them up. Yeah. And that they're angry with him, and so he's being fired. He got an 18-month deal out of them because obviously they were desperate. So he's obviously going to get a payoff. He's lasted 3 months, something like that.
107 days.
Yeah.
He managed only 53 days at Roma, so he's improving. Just to remind everybody, because we always need a reminder of this, both stints more than when Liz Truss was in charge of the country. Never forget. But yeah, so he's going. I know what you mean, Luke. What did they expect? I mean, they expected a little more, but I tell you what, if you're Jurić, you're like, just thank goodness I don't have to be there for the last few games.
I think it vindicates his personal decision to live in his car.
But you'd struggle to find a manager who's in his career who has taken like the weirdest decisions about his own career.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know much about him beyond Roma and Southampton, but I know that he left Genoa 3 times. Roma, he went in there after Daniele De Rossi was fired, and everyone fucking loved De Rossi and couldn't believe it. And basically, he was hated for just not being Daniele De Rossi from the very start.
So it was a really tough gig to take.
Yeah, and then he goes to Southampton, which is, I mean, the only reason you are ever going to Southampton in that situation is for money.
Yes.
Yeah. And that gives you almost no credibility
it's not for
whatsoever.
Reputation. It's not for
he's a big metalhead, isn't he? He's a big death metal guy. So
is he?
maybe it was sort of he's just self-flagellation, really getting into it. Something like
I need to get away from all the depression
I need a circle pit of a football team.
Yeah.
And so it's weird because Southampton's actually got no cultural capital whatsoever.
Royal blood.
Royal blood.
Royal blood
aren't from there. Royal blood are from Brighton.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought they were from Southampton.
You're thinking of Band of Skulls was from Southampton?
Oh, Band of Skulls, that's right. Yes.
Have a
similar music.
Have a think in a Google, because this statistically makes Ivan Jurić the worst manager in the Premier League to manage at least 10 games.
So the worst manager in the history of the Premier League?
To manage at least 10 games.
Is that fair?
I think it is. Russell Martin's third on that list. So this season, first. I mean, that is.
And in the same season.
He's only third because Jurić took away the chance for him to be first as well. Which is, Artful Dodger from Southampton, by the way.
Yeah, Craig David is.
Yeah, so
there I see. So egg on your face, Luke.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
But Southampton, they did say with regard to the sacking of Jurić, despite the challenges that relegation will bring, our goal is to restore a sense of pride for our supporters in their team and club once again. They want to avoid that Derby County record.
The long-term goal is for our fans to respect us.
Jim, the new manager bounce in this situation is to get them more than a point in the last 7 games of the season. That's literally why they've sacked him.
Because Jurić bounced like an egg, didn't he?
But they need to get to at least 12 points, and that's why they think we'll try and change the manager. Yeah. That's how piss poor it's been this season.
It's been irredeemably bad.
It has.
And I wonder really what they're going to do beyond this season. I mean, we mentioned that Frank Lampard's been linked. If you look at, like, say, Coventry and Southampton, they're both, I would say like almost identically sized clubs, right? They've both got a similar sized stadium. They've both won one FA Cup in their history. They're kind of at a level. Yeah. But there's absolutely no realistic argument other than the fact that Southampton have probably got more money, that you would go there if you're Frank Lampard. I mean, because you've got to start all over again. You've got the size of the project. Just which players are going to stay, which players aren't going to stay, the disarray they're in, the how annoyed the fans will be. I think it's a very, very difficult ask to tempt Lampard there, to be honest.
Why on earth would you go?
Danny Role as well. Danny Role's been linked with him. I think Danny Role's, it would be a disastrous move for him as well.
Of course it would be.
He's an upwardly mobile, kind of respected young coach who's done some interesting stuff already. I think he can set his sights a bit higher. I know he worked under Hasenhüttl at Southampton, but I mean that's really the only link.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's an element to this that managers have got big egos, right? So they're like, if I can be the saviour of a club, that'd be amazing for me. And also there might be, because I know that the guys were saying that Strasbourg manager Liam Rosinha is interested. Apparently, obviously he probably wants a way back to England, and a championship job is quite a big job, I suppose. So, but I mean, it's absolutely toxic there. Anyone with any kind of realistic ambition of having a career in the next 2 or 3 years should be totally repelled by it.
But you mentioned Strasbourg, they're fourth in Ligue 1.
Yeah, right.
Why on earth would you?
Yeah.
Unless for personal reasons,
money, or wants to move back to England. Yeah,
but reputation is surely way more important than money. Because if you're managing the side who are fourth and going for European positions, the money will come. Yeah. Like, why on earth would you do it? That's a situation for Southampton right now.
Can I also just throw in there, like we talked a bit about the gap between the Championship and the Premier League these days. It's absolutely, I just want to make this clear because I've probably been a bit harsh there. There's no disgrace whatsoever in coming up into the Premier League, in Southampton's case under Russell Martin, somewhat unexpectedly, and getting relegated again. Yeah. It looks like all 3 teams are going to do that. It's happening.
Yeah, Ipswich haven't disgraced themselves.
But there's ways of going about it. Leicester as well. I mean, Leicester under Van Nistelrooy, I saw Kevin Hatchard, who's a really great commentator, proper brain in football. I saw him say the other day that he commentated on the Leicester game against Newcastle. He just said, I don't think I've ever seen a team so bereft of anything than Van Nistelrooy's Leicester. Yeah. He can't do anything. He's completely incapable of change. Yeah. Like these two have been astonishingly bad in the same season, just by the way they've gone about it.
Yeah, Leicester are lucky that Southampton are drawing higher.
Big time.
Yeah, to completely agree. But yes, Simon Rusk is an interim charge. The Rusketeer will be assisted by Adam Lallana, who's still a player there. But
I mean, I think realistically, Adam Lallana is probably the right fit.
Yeah,
right. He likes the club. He's been there a couple of times. He knows. He knows. He's kind of affiliated with the area. All that kind of stuff. If he wants to become a coach, this is an ideal place for him to start because they're at rock bottom and he's done nothing as a coach. Anyone else who's done something as a coach or a manager isn't going to want to touch it with Pete's barge pole. Do you know what I mean?
Whoa.
Yeah,
but what a barge pole, though.
It is
it's a lovely barge pole.
Very bargey, very poorly. It's got a lot of things going for it.
Thick.
Yeah, very, very, very thick and long. Peter.
Hello.
Let's go to somewhere near your neck of the woods, but staying on the coast of England.
Okay.
Did you see this lovely story from an American student studying in London, accidentally boarding a Southend United booze cruise, thinking it was a sightseeing tour in London?
Yes, I have seen this because somebody posts it around every 5 minutes on the Southend / Leon Steve /
Well, now we're doing it again.
The Nextdoor app that is usually just people sort of going, someone's been in my car. I got him on the ring doorbell.
Terrifying, isn't it, next door?
Next
we
door.
are surrounded by
Just
lunatics.
Frightening NIMBYs just worried about lads being near their car.
Yeah. I don't know about this.
This car's been parked in my street for 3 days. Is it been stolen? No, someone just parked their car for 3 days. Don't worry about it.
Do the clouds look suspicious today?
If they start a podcast and they're looking for a presenter, let me know.
I saw one where it was a bunch of busybodies saying there was a strange man walking down our road at 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday on my ring doorbell, and the guy was like, "Yeah, it's me. I was on the way home from work, just doing a shift."
Well, there was a strange man on this Southend United boat. It was Evan Johnston, the aforementioned American student, and yes, he ended up on a boat boarding from Tower Millennium Pier in central London with 150 Southend supporters, Southend United supporters.
He thought he was just having a little boat boat ride.
Because if you know the sort of those piers in central London, there's a lot of sightseeing boats, or there's like the Clipper, which is one that is public transport essentially, a bit more pricey, but you go up and down the Thames.
Yeah.
So you're queuing up, but he thought it was a bit suspicious when he said, these men all seem to know each other and they were chanting or singing. I love that though. God, these tourists seem like a good bunch to get involved
I think
with.
Southend United fans do this for this fixture every year now.
Yeah.
I think it's like a traditional thing.
Well, you get some of them. I remember a few years ago when Spurs played Fulham, and up the Thames you saw this boat packed for the Spurs fans, and they go around, and there perhaps will be a pier at Fulham Stadium soon. I think that's in the plans.
Right. If that's what they need, isn't it?
If that's the case, I think they might regret it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you get off at one of it's the final pier actually. In
What I love about this story is that if you look at the spokesperson from the Southend United fans who was on the booze cruise, he talks about young Evan like he's just made his debut for Southend United, because he goes, it was daunting at the start for him without a doubt, but he loved every minute of it. And then he absolutely loved it, and the fans were great with him. They were absolutely fantastic with him. He didn't play.
It's so good. Though,
he just got pissed with you lot.
So good.
Isn't like something miles away from the Thames as well? Like you'd have to get up at Wandsworth and just like drive for ages, wouldn't you? You still have to have some decision making, I suppose, after you get off the boat.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean,
which may have been impaired.
Long old journey.
Sutton is technically in London, but you're right. It's it's
far out.
Yeah.
From with a sea to sea.
It's probably about a half an hour train journey.
I don't think it matters.
Part of Trenitalia.
They've got on a boat. They've had a lovely time. When they got off the boat, they did some more travelling. What do you want me to tell you?
And when they arrived, a man with Cadbury's milk tray was there to greet them.
In a roll net.
They were the days.
I can see you as the milk tray man.
I'll tell you what.
You got a lot. You got a lot of decent amount of upper body strength, so you could get on the old. You could rappel down.
The box would be empty as well.
You're small enough.
Because me and Marcus are chocolate monsters.
I would have to take a sub box.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I brought another one.
One for me, one for the journey.
I've had the marzipan ones.
You're small enough to get through the window.
There you go.
And you've got experience of creeping through windows.
Yeah.
It's not actually, and you're not
Never been proved, Jim.
And you're not on any kind of register, so people wouldn't stop you.
Well, every good cat boat. It wasn't a cat boat. What was he?
I don't really know.
He was the opposite of a burglar, wasn't he? He was leaving chocolate for people.
It was, I mean, to be fair, it's a bit Tom Cruise, isn't it?
It's not made clear what his motivation was.
Yeah. It's like...
But it was. It was all because the woman loved Cadbury's milk tray.
Yeah, but why is he... What I'm saying is...
He obviously fancied her, didn't he?
Right.
Well, there you go. Suits you. You fancy everyone, so you can do that as well.
Everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of hairs to drop us down.
Yeah, come on, there's no need for that.
What?
You go too far.
I'm just saying the hair will get on the window.
That's nowhere near him going too far. That's nowhere near the postcode of it.
Nowhere near, mate.
True, yeah.
warm up.
One of the Southend supporters on board the boat said, someone on the boat told me a young lad was on the wrong boat and I just wanted to make sure he was okay. When I found him, he was drinking and dancing with other Southend fan, which was glorious. He was handed a match ticket. Did they have an extra one?
Spare one.
Yeah. Sorry, Tommy, but you're not coming.
Exactly.
So he was handed a match. Yeah, I love it. It was like, well, I was actually looking for... No, you're not. You're coming down. You're coming to Sutton away with us, big boy. So he was handed a match ticket and he went to their away game at Sutton.
And it's an authentic experience.
Yeah.
A lot of tourists are looking for authentic experiences. That's definitely an authentic experience.
He missed Southend's goal because he was at the burger van, though.
Hungry.
Proper fan.
Trying to get some ballast.
Reverted to type. He's an American in the straight situation. And is there a slice of home? Was a burger van good enough?
Yeah.
Having the worst burger of his life in England.
Oh, dear. So, but he said, I'm a Southampton...
horse?
Yeah. More of that in Uncut. But he said, I'm a Southend United fan till I die now. I never followed much football, so this is the first team I actually cared about, and I'm rooting for them now.
Yeah. My maths teacher was a Southend fan, and his name was Mr. Munt.
Mr. Munt.
Became a teacher. Fair play.
Was he there, do you reckon?
If he's... It was a long time ago, so I hope Mr. Munt is still alive.
Mr. Munt, a
I think
Southend bloke.
he would have been. He went all the time. I think he was a season ticket holder, so he might well have been there. I hope he was.
It's a lovely place to watch football.
Yeah.
Great selection of pubs around.
Oh, dear. What an absolute munt. Right, coming up after this, Emmy Martinez is back at it again. Mr. Munt.
Mr. Munt.
Yeah.
Right, come on then. What you got?
Hey.
Was he hard? Did he look...
He
must have looked tasty.
He wasn't physically imposing, but he had authority.
Can I just
Was
be
he man munting?
Can I just be the first person to say, Mr. Munt, I thought you were dead. Can't believe no one's done that.
I know, right?
Oh dear. PSG versus Aston Villa tonight at 8 p.m. Why bother turning up, eh? This is PSG's tie, isn't it, Luke Moore?
I don't believe I said that.
Well, PSG have already wrapped up League One.
Yeah, exactly.
With
League
6
One.
games to play. And I like to, I like to anglify as much as I can.
There'll be a threat in the Championship next season.
League. They're unbeaten in League. Drawing just 5 games all season. They won the others. It was PSG's 11th French championship since the Qatari backers QSI took over the club in 2011. So heartwarming stuff from the French title, of course. But this is Unai Emery facing his old club, Jim Campbell.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, Emery is an expert in this sort of knockout tie. Generally, we've seen him absolutely thrive in the Europa League, but, he's got more experience under his belt now. He's got a really, really good set of players. And obviously those January recruits bringing the cavalry in has re-energised Aston Villa at the absolutely perfect time.
Yeah, I heard someone who I think is an ex-player for Villa and now an ambassador of the club being interviewed on the BBC, and he said what's been really amazing that Emery's done is that he's taught us all this is what we can achieve. And he's been out in front and he's dragged us all along with us. And he said, why shouldn't we get into the Champions League? And everyone was like, okay, if he thinks we can do it, and they kind of believe. And he's led from the front. And this is perfectly poised, this game, because on one hand you've got PSG who are now showing signs of playing like a proper team. Right? They've been incredible the last however many months and seasons. Their record is insane. It's so good. They also went in toe to toe and head to head. So you imagine that, their toe and their head right up against Liverpool's toe and Liverpool's head.
Full body.
They came out on top, and they've basically broke Liverpool's hearts this season.
They have, they did.
And Liverpool would have been among the favourites to win the competition. Then on the other hand, you've got Emery with this record that every full season he was at Sevilla as a manager, he won the Europa League. His record in Europe is incredible.
Well, he won 7 trophies when he was PSG manager in 2 seasons,
and it's seen as like a bit of
including a quadruple of French titles.
Yeah,
he domestically cleaned up there.
He did. I would say as well,
the Brendan Rodgers of League 1.
That's unfair.
Why is that unfair?
I think that's unfair.
It's not unfair at all.
Would he be happy with that?
Well, let's find out. If you
don't think we're going to find out.
It's a call to arms, Jim. If you're in any way reporting on this game this evening,
I'll tell you what. We'll settle it once and for all. Unai, if you're unhappy, get in touch.
Otherwise,
if we assume we don't hear from you, we assume you're fine with it. Yeah,
that's how we work on the Football Ramble.
But I just wanted to add that Emery always feels like, I've said this before, Emery always feels to me like he's at his best when he's at a club that's slightly below the elite and getting them to punch up.
Absolutely.
And it's exactly what he's doing at Villa. I think Villa can get past PSG, but I think this is a significant step up in class, and it will give us a real proper understanding of just how good they can be, because they would have been targeting this game. They've been good enough this season. They've been decent. They're still in the Champions League in the middle of April, which is incredible, and they've got strong designs on getting back into that top 5 again.
Yeah.
But this is, like I say, a substantial step up in class.
Jim, if Emery was to get the better of Luis Enrique again in Paris by 4 goals, you'd have to say the tie wouldn't be over.
Bit of history,
But it's the first time Emery will face Luis Enrique since that Barcelona 6-1 victory against PSG in 2017.
That is something, isn't it? I mean, it's a long time ago. Different managers.
Luis Enrique could do proper mind games here.
That would be
just looking really over it and going,
just print out that photo of Neymar's face. Just dish it out. Leaflet it out.
But having the away leg first for Villa is an interesting one, isn't it? Because Villa Park is going to be an absolute weapon for them.
Yeah.
It's a really,
so they've got to stay in the tie, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that I think that will be what they'll be targeting tonight, is dragging it back to Birmingham and doing the business over PSG there. But as you said, like earlier on, the way PSG have been playing, they look like a different team from the team that we saw in the early stages of the Champions League as well. And there's one little interesting side point in this, or a little sideshow, which is that Marco Asensio is eligible, because the rules about loan players in the Champions League are slightly different. So it's kind of one to keep an eye on.
That's a nice little bit of narrative. Narrative will drag you in, won't it?
But would you play him? I mean, I think
emotionally there has to be an argument there that he's among their best 11 at the moment, given the partnership he and Rashford have struck up.
I don't think he'll start.
You don't?
No, I just... It's a strange scenario, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or strange situation that we find him in. I think that... I mean, I suppose he's got something to prove. if you think, well, if you're going to loan me out, you obviously didn't want me, so up yours. So there could be that. I think that, Emery will have talked to him and said, what's going on here, because you've got to get the emotional state of the player right here. Yeah. But Emery, seems to know what he's doing with these knockout ties. I mean, he's contested 49 winner takes all ties in Champions League, Europa League / UEFA Cup and Conference League across managerial spells with his former clubs, and of those 49 ties, he's come out on top in 40 of them, an 81.6% success rate.
Yeah,
so
incredible.
I understand one might say, but that's not all Champions League. Well, fine, but he still had a team relative to the competition.
Yeah. They've really got a press in this game, because the way that Liverpool and to be honest, Barcelona last season, the way that they sort of played, they just left themselves so open in the middle of the park. They just need to sort of be really on it and just close those gaps and bring something home to Villa Park. I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, I am as well. And they've got Emi Martinez, who's already started the shithousery. Pictured wearing a cap with a French cockerel on it, alongside images depicting Argentina's World Cup win as he left for Paris.
Yeah.
He's ready.
It's great stuff.
He loves it.
That's what
Absolutely
this is
loves
what
it.
cup competitions are about.
Yeah.
To be fair,
One-off little bits of narrative, stupid hats.
Yeah, but
brilliant.
If you are a Villa player or a teammate of Emi Martinez, you could look at it one of two ways. You could say, why is he bringing that heat? Or he's taken a lot of the heat.
Yeah, because that heat's going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, it's a loud stadium. We've all seen that.
Totally.
Exactly. If it's focused on him, it kind of draws the energy away from the rest of them.
Eat the heat.
I don't
Emmy's
think
eat the
that's what
heat.
he's doing. I think he's just being a prick. But that might be a kind of, a benefit of that.
I tell you what, him leaving Arsenal has done world football an absolute solid. Hasn't it? There's no way he'd be behaving like that at Arsenal.
I don't know, I don't know if you can have
We'll never know,
Emi
Jim.
Martinez without having this, and I applaud him for that.
Elsewhere tonight, Barcelona host Borussia Dortmund. Barca midfielder Gavi has been the subject of some criticism since returning from his injury. And Gavi said, a lot of people think I don't know how to play football, and they don't have a fucking clue. But anyway, in the end, this is football, and everyone has their opinion. I mean, I like that. To suggest he doesn't know how to play football. I've not watched that much of him this season, so I don't know how he's been.
I think he probably knows how to play football.
I think it's fair to say. Fair to say. So another tasty one. I mean, it's classic Champions League.
It's getting
Barcelona v Dortmund.
It's getting tasty now. I mean, it's not going to be a poor quarter-final.
This stage is always excellent.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, we're looking
Excited
forward
for
to
it.
it.
I'll definitely be watching Villa tonight, cheering him on, despite Marcus's unfair narrative towards me.
You can rewind it and listen again as to hear what he said.